Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the first new moon of the year, 2022. Can you believe it? I thought this was going to be a kind of simple cut and dry video about this new moon, but there's actually a whole set of rabbit holes here and a lot to talk about. So let's get started. Big hugs to all of my subscribers and a warm welcome to you if you are new. I'm Ananda, I'm the Galactic Mystic, and on this channel, I talk a lot about astrology, mysticism, and folk magic. And we would love to have you join the family. So this Capricorn new moon is happening on January 2nd, 2022. And this new moon will be at 12 degrees of Capricorn. So before I get into the energy of this lunation, I have to bring up the fact that we are in the middle of a pretty unique portal-like energy. And this began in October of 2021 and will continue until March of 2022. So what am I talking about here? Okay, beginning in October 2021, it was October 20th, we had a full moon at 27 degrees of Aries. Now, this was the full moon that was conjunct the Andromeda galaxy. And from that date, from that full moon until the full moon in March of 2022, every full moon has occurred at 27 degrees. And every new moon has occurred at 12 degrees. This is really unusual. I've never seen something like this where it's literally 6 months of this 27 degrees and 12 degrees. So there's a lot we can go into with numerology and the tarot associations, but I'm not going to actually get into all of that. What I do want to share is that with the full moons occurring at 27 degrees, that means that every full moon has been in some kind of aspect with the galactic center. And with the new moons at 12 degrees, that's a bit of a larger orb, but it's a 2-degree orb with all of those new moons being in some kind of aspect with the great attractor. The galactic center and the great attractor are what I call transpersonal astrology points. And they carry a very powerful and specific type of energy. The galactic center serves as the 0 point for our solar system. Not only our solar system, but our galaxy. It's the center of the Milky Way. It's what the Milky Way is, all those arms are rotating around. Every solar system in our galaxy is rotating around the galactic center. And so it serves as this 0 point potential of energy where we kind of have access to everything we need, right? It's pretty spectacular to think about. With the great attractor, now that's a 2-degree orb with those new moons. It's not exact like the 27, but if we were going to talk about that, the great attractor is a very powerful magnetic energy. This is a very mysterious area in space, and it brings in this energized pull of fate. Do we have free will? Where do we have free will? What are your beliefs about free will? Do you believe that certain things are destined, that we have no ability to change the outcome of? What are your thoughts about this? I'm actually curious. Let me know in the comments because it's a really interesting thing to think about. Free will is one of the universal laws that we have free will, but yet some things just feel fated. Or is it these connections with these galactic points in space? Anyway, rabbit hole there. Another interesting thing about this 27 degrees and 12 degrees of these lunations, and I'm actually going to show this to you. So this is the Sibley chart, the natal chart of the United States. And if you look here, the United States sun is at 13 degrees of Cancer. So that would mean that all of these new moons have been, connecting with the United States sun somehow. And if you look down here, the United States moon is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. And so same, all of these full moons have been having some sort of energetic flow to the United States moon. This is incredibly interesting to me. So here we have the United States natal chart in the middle, and then this is the chart for the new moon, January 2nd, 2022. So here at 12 degrees of Capricorn, we have our new moon, and it is pretty much exactly opposing the United States sun. Now, this is whenever we have a lunation or a full moon or new moon that is opposing our sun, it's generally an uncomfortable sensation. I would say, though, that a new moon is probably less uncomfortable than a full moon, but this is still interesting, isn't it? Another interesting thing that I just kind of noticed, there is an asteroid called America, and you can see it here at this new moon. It will be at 11 degrees of Cancer, which is opposing the new moon and conjunct the United States sun. That is utterly fascinating. So going back to this portal of full moons and new moons at 27 and 12 degrees. So as I said, this began on October 20th, 2021 with a full moon conjunct the Andromeda Galaxy at 27 degrees of Aries, and it will end on March 18th, 2022 with a full moon at 27 degrees of Virgo. Now, there will not be another full moon or new moon at 27 degrees or 12 degrees at all, not even one, until August 4th, 2024, when we have a new moon at 12 degrees of Leo. The full moon after that, August 19th, 2024, will be a full moon in Aquarius at 27 degrees, which you might remember is the United States moon. Exactly. So isn't this interesting? What is going to be happening with the United States during this period of time, even going into 2024? Now, there's a whole slew of astrological events that happen around that time, 2024. With the nodes, and Pluto finally moves into Aquarius at that time. And so this is just where I want to say that what we are going through now, I am seeing more as a long game. And that's not what I want it to be. I want things to get better and get back to normal. But the truth is, the normal's gone, and we're going to be building a new normal, and it's going to take some time. So take heart. Let's dig our heels in and get back to the good basics: family, community, tending, being good stewards of the earth, being good stewards of our life and families, etc. So now we can talk about some details about this beautiful Capricorn new moon. So this begins our journey navigating the lunation of presence. This is asking us to plant some seeds that will grow into new ways of being at home and with family. The Capricorn Cancer axis, in navigational astrology, I call the axis of presence, because in Cancer, it represents our presence at home, our families, our ancestral connections, our deepest psychology that basically forms big parts of our personalities. And then Capricorn represents our duties, our reputations, our cosmic job descriptions. And so both of these areas of our lives are places that have to do with a certain type of presence. This is the gravity in our lives, the things that hold us, that connect us to our inner world, our private life, and the outer world, our public life. So this is the axis of presence. So during this lunation, and from this new moon until the next new moon, all of these topics are asking for some acknowledgement, some attention, release, healing, and growth where necessary. So I'm going to bring the new moon chart back up. So, okay, here we have our new moon. We have asteroid Juno and a little bit of a wide conjunction. She's also conjunct Venus retrograde by 4 degrees. So this brings in the ideas of our commitments, not just to our partners, but all of our commitments to ourselves, to our jobs, to our businesses, to our children, all of the commitments that we carry and are responsible for. If you look down here at this chart, this is showing that the moon is actually out of bounds for this new moon. So even though a new moon is a conjunction of the sun and moon by zodiac degree, their declinations are different. So they are at different angles in the sky. With the moon being out of bounds, that means the moon's energy is a little bit rebellious. It's not going to carry the same energy as a typical textbook Capricorn moon. So a typical textbook Capricorn moon energy would be emotionally a little bit serious, concerned with responsibilities and appearing strong and dedicated, dignified. There's a lot of dignity with this. There's also a tendency to ignore our own emotional needs. And sometimes that's intentional, and sometimes it's because of the level of responsibility that we have. I don't know that we necessarily decide, I am going to deny my emotional needs. I don't think we do that. But sometimes it just happens because of life. So that would be more of a traditional Capricorn moon energy. But because the moon is out of bounds, that's probably not the energy that the moon is carrying. So what kind of energy would this out of bounds moon be carrying? Well, let's follow the story. So the only really major aspect that this new moon is making is a really beautiful trine with Uranus here at 10 degrees of Taurus. So this is bringing a fun, spontaneous, freedom-seeking, untethered type of energy. This is like a loosen up kind of energy, which would be out of the box for a Capricorn moon. So this is pretty cool. This is, cut loose and have some fun, which we could all use, couldn't we? We have kind of the basics of the energy of what's going on here. We have some other major things though. If we look at Mercury, Mercury is ingressing into Aquarius, 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this is a palpable change of energy, a change in the force. And then of course we have Jupiter, who just moved into Pisces and is still at 0 degrees. This is another big change type of energy. Now, I want to draw your attention to something really, really interesting, and that is Venus here, retrograde at 22 degrees of Capricorn. January 12th, 2020 was the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which happened at 22 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this was an astrological event that astrologers had been looking at and anticipating for a very long time. And, you know, a lot of times with astrology, we can see that something is going to happen or something really could happen, but we don't always know the details, right? Until it happens. So that day, January 12th, came and went, and the conjunction happened, and but he's like, okay, I don't know. But come to find out, that was the date that Chinese scientists gave the genome of SARS-CoV-2 to the WHO. And so it essentially was signaling the beginning of the pandemic. And so with Venus here at 22 degrees, Venus retrograde during this new moon, I can't help but wonder if, you know, this pandemic has been really hard on a lot of relationships. A lot of families have broken up, friendships have broken up, and I'm not even talking about all of the people who have been lost and the emptiness that is left in people's lives. I'm talking about the people that are still here, these relationships that have been broken. I can't help but wonder if Venus retrograde at this point is signaling at a potential for some of these relationships to be mended. Now, not all relationships should be mended or can be mended, but those that can and should, let's pick up that phone. You know what I mean? Another really interesting feature is we have Mars exactly at the great attractor. So with Mars here, really energizing that whole thing about fate and destiny that I was talking about before. When these points are active, there's something about events that bring us to a place of choice, and our choice will determine a specific aspect of our destiny. That's how I see it. That's how I see it in my clients' charts and feel it for myself. It's like it's an energy that brings things to you so that you can choose your path. So a lot of times people don't know, you know, they feel that they have a mission, there's something they're supposed to do, and they get really stressed out worrying about how to make it happen or what they're supposed to be accomplishing, and as if it's really specific and written out. These points tend to bring things to us so that we can choose, and it makes it a lot easier. It brings in this energy of, you know what, we don't have to figure it all out right now. We only have to make decisions about what is in front of us in this moment. And I find that to be a very comforting way to think about it. Some other really interesting things that are kind of hidden in this chart is Mercury at 0 degrees of Aquarius. There's a conjunction with the asteroids Farmer and the asteroid Hammurabi. So in ancient Mesopotamia, Hammurabi was the 6th king of Babylon, and he received the code of Hammurabi from some sort of being, a deity, according to him. Another interesting thing is that Hammurabi is one of the 23, I think, lawgivers that are depicted in the chamber of the United States House of Representatives. Interesting. Back to Mars. Mars is conjunct the asteroid Amun. Now, Amun was a very important god in ancient Egypt, and he was associated with giving the breath of life to humanity and was known as the father of the gods. So to double down on this energy, Mars is also conjunct the asteroid Woden, which is another name for the Norse god Odin, who gave the first breath to humans, to the first humans in their creation story, and was considered to be the father of the gods, the Allfather in the Old Norse religion. So isn't this weirdly interesting that Mars at the galactic center, not the galactic center, Mars is at the great attractor. In both of these asteroids, these father of the gods, giver of the breath of life asteroids, Amun and Woden, are conjunct Mars and each other at the great attractor. This is really super yummy, especially considering that COVID is a disease of the breath. And, for a long time, for a couple weeks now, I've been talking about how we're in this like in between stage where it's that pause between the inhale and the exhale. That pause is where we are. And then it comes back to this portal of being in this 27-degree, 12-degree portal, as if this period of time is that pause in between breaths. What do you think about this? It really feels to me that this is a 0 point type of energy. 2022 is a 6 year, and that is the Lovers in the major arcana. Now, the Lovers isn't just about love and partnering. It's actually about choices, choice making, and two polar opposites that are joined by a uniting force. Two becoming one, separate becoming united. And so I really think that that we're all being asked to think very seriously about what that means for us in this in-between pause of the breath. With Jupiter in Pisces, this is bringing us to a really beautiful type of energy we're going to be in for a while. This is highlighting empathy and caring about others, being intuitive, like giving a crap about the underdog or the forgotten people in society. But there's also a risk here of escapism, escaping into dreams and the fantasy world, substance abuse, and also that tricky sort of love and light spiritual bypassing that we all do sometimes. That I don't want to look at that, so I'm going to love and light it, and if I ignore it, it will go away. And there is a time and place for that, as long as we know that that's what we're doing and vow to return to the issue, because bypassing doesn't get us anywhere. Jupiter is also conjunct the asteroid Aura, which means wind or breath in Latin. Again, another reference to this. We also are in the final throes of this Saturn Uranus square, which has been pulling us into extremes all year. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, so really the ruler of this new moon. But this has really been difficult energy to navigate for all of us, and it's been playing out on the world stage very loudly. So even though Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn and this is a Capricorn new moon, this lunation to me, this new moon feels highly Uranian to me. almost as if the Uranian energy is wanting us to think outside of the box. But what we are actually finding outside of the box is the request to return to simplicity. There's nothing new under the sun in Ecclesiastes. And so even when we are breaking out of the norm, sometimes what we're breaking out of and moving into is a return to something that is old and simple. And with the North Node moving into Taurus later this month, that's really going to be our divine instructions for the next year and a half to move into more Taurus energy. No drama, simplicity, groundedness, self-assuredness, believing in ourselves, and moving a little more slowly on the earth. So even though that isn't technically a Uranian type of energy, it is rebellious when you look at the norms in our world. Just some food for thought. And with every new moon, and this is special about new moons, we actually get specific instructions about where our highest spiritual attainment is and where our actual life experience fulfillment is. So it's kind of this marriage of heaven and earth satisfaction. And for this new moon, those instructions are at 12 degrees of Taurus. So I'm going to read to you the Chandra symbol for Taurus 12. This is an intuitive interpretation of a degree. You're going to love this. This is really beautiful. Taurus 12 degrees, a very old elephant. Nostalgia and intimately familiar worlds in that each character is known very well. Living inside a hologram which contains every world you have ever known. It is slow, reflective, interior, and recedes into lunar caverns. All is moonlit and invokes philosophical reflections. There is time. There is room. There is permission to be one who brings back the country, the quiet times, the special touches, who quietly, unobtrusively keeps the fiber steady, resourceful and unique, the very best of small town life. A trail left to follow, nothing is ever lost. The stones do not forget. To me, this is speaking very clearly about our North Node guidance as it moves into Taurus on January 19th. And I will be speaking about this relentlessly for the next year and a half because I feel it in my bones and I want you to come with me to sort of drive this instruction home, this request from Spirit and the universe. If we looked at the ascendant on this chart, the ascendant is exactly conjunct the asteroid Rhea, which in Greek, the ancient Greek religion, Rhea was the Earth Mother. She was the Magna Mater, the Great Mother. On that note, I wish you a very happy new year filled with joy, prosperity, health, happy memories. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and I will see you very soon.